Welcome to Get the Right Job. I'm Jeff Magnuson. In today's episode, I want to talk about your 2021 job search checklist. Many people wait until the new year to begin their job search process, and that's totally fine. But also a lot of people don't know where to start. Whether they've been job searching maybe a little bit last year, or they know they want to in the future, or they want to starting today. That's great. But you want to be able to do it in a methodical way. Okay, there's a lot of different things that you need to do, but you don't want to overwhelm yourself either because job searching can be stressful. It can be annoying. So by taking it step by step and doing things in the right order, you'll be able to manage the process with less stress and more focus. So let's go through the steps now. The first thing that you need is to have an idea of what you want to do next. This comes before the resume. And the reason it does is because when you write your resume, you want to make sure that the things that you're talking about on your resume, your achievements and your accomplishments, are leaning in the direction that you want to go. So before you do that, you have to know where you want to go. Some people are like, I like the industry that I'm in. I just want a higher level position. Awesome. There's also some people who are like, I want a complete change. I want to do something totally different. Also great. But you have to have clarity on that before you revisit your resume. It'll just make it a lot easier. When hiring managers are looking at resumes, you want to make it easy for them to connect the dots of why they should pick up the phone to talk to you. You don't want to have them make assumptions that, oh, she did this, so I think she can do that. No, they're not going to do that. Most likely only going to spend a few seconds to a minute looking at your resume. So you basically want to tell them that you are worth speaking to, and here's why. And then your resume goes into the achievements and accomplishments and so on. There is an earlier podcast episode that goes through how to build a resume effectively, as well as there are more tips on my website, jeffmagnusonconsulting.com, that illustrate how to put together a resume. Or you can reach out and work with me one-on-one. Never forget that your resume has one job, and it's to get you interviews. A lot of people think like, yeah, I need the resume to get a job. No, you need your resume to get you interviews. You don't have to overload your resume with unnecessary tasks. You want it to be a highlight reel to get somebody to pick up the phone and have a conversation with you because the hiring decisions are made based off of interviews, not your resume. Once the resume is updated, then you want to update your LinkedIn profile. And if you're not on LinkedIn, I strongly recommend that you do so. You want to have an updated photo, an updated headline. You can use the summary from your resume in the About section of LinkedIn. You want to fill out the same jobs that you have on your resume on LinkedIn. You don't need to use as many bullets. Just use a couple of bullets to get people's attention. It doesn't take a long time. Honestly, like less than an hour. If you don't have a LinkedIn resume, in less than an hour, you can have one that looks as sharp as any great LinkedIn profile out there. And the great thing about LinkedIn is that while it's a great resource for you to search and connect with people and so on, when your profile is updated properly, it also allows people to find you. And that's really important when you're job searching. You need as many avenues and outlets as possible. One other word on resumes, if you're interested in more than one job, that's great. Just make sure that you save different versions of your resume in Word or whatever program you're using. Nobody's going to know that you have multiple resumes, but if you're interested in customer service or sales, those are a little bit different, even though there's some overlapping skills. You want to make sure you have a sales resume and you want to make sure that you have a customer service resume. And LinkedIn, you'll have to put on whichever one you're more interested in so it makes sense. Because you don't want to come across as a Jack or a Jill of all trades. It just doesn't translate well, even though so many of you can do so many different job types. When you're ready to start job searching and you find a company that interests you, then you want to start working on a cover letter and describing what it is about the company that interests you. Figuring out what are their needs? What do they need you for? Okay. Any company who's hiring is hiring based on their needs, not their wants. So then in the cover letter, you can also mention, hey, I see you're looking for somebody who needs to do this, that, or the other thing. Well, at my previous company, I did X, Y, and Z, essentially connecting the dots for them again, this time in a cover letter. And you really want to customize these and find the hiring manager, not HR, not a recruiter, the hiring manager. LinkedIn can help you do this. So you can then email them through LinkedIn, or once people start moving back into offices, you can start mailing your cover letter and your resume right to this person to go around the online systems and all of that nonsense. Once you start mailing out or emailing your resumes and cover letters to the hiring managers, use Excel, use a notebook, use something to keep track of everywhere you're sending your resume. What date, what company, what job title, who was your contact. That way, you don't have to think about them anymore. You've sent it out. If they're interested, they will contact you. Hiring is difficult for companies. If they're interested, they're not going to wait. If they're delaying or they're disorganized, just take it as a sign you don't want to be there, or they're not really interested in finding somebody. Hiring the right people is difficult for companies. They don't talk about it, but it really, really is. If there are companies that interest you, but they don't have any jobs posted, that's okay. You can still find hiring managers for the departments that you would want to work in and send a letter. Tell them why the company that they work at interests you and talk about, here's what I did at my previous company. You never know where somebody might be, where a company might be in their hiring process. And the worst they'll do is ignore your correspondence. It's not a big deal. Not many people do that. They wait for the job to be posted instead of just going after a company that really interests them. If you do the latter, things can happen, especially in the beginning of the year. A lot of companies have new budgets and they are ready to hire. So when you show up in a hiring manager's inbox or across his desk in a letter, you might be saving that person a lot of time, a lot of headaches, and a lot of money. You could certainly reach out to recruiters, third-party recruiters on LinkedIn, and just let them know you're looking for a certain type of role. They may not have anything for you, but they still may be willing to give you a few minutes or hang on to your resume. You never know. There's a lot of good ones out there. There's a lot of bad ones. A lot of them have a lot of clients. It really depends. But the point is to send somebody an email just to have another outlet for possibly connecting with the company. That's something for you to consider. And that's really it. That's the whole game. Obviously, all of these factors take time, but it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. Figure out what you want to do, whether it's one thing or multiple things. Then get your resume or multiple versions of your resume updated and saved and ready to go. Then update your LinkedIn profile. Then start applying to companies, whether they have a job posted or not. Use a cover letter. Find the hiring manager so you're sending a personalized correspondence and explain why their company interests you. Don't just send a generic cover letter. Those are easy to spot. Nobody wants to read those. Keep track of where you send your letters and just keep at it. Because what you're doing as a job seeker, if you're looking for a new job, you are trying to get interviews. Don't think I'm trying to get a new job. You are trying to get interviews. Once you have all those pieces set up, you're trying to get on the phone with people or Skype or Zoom or whatever. And just keep track of it. Don't wonder why you're not hearing back when you send your resume. If they're interested, they will contact you. So keep it simple, be proactive, and don't get hung up on things that are out of your control. That's it for this episode. I wish you the best in your job search in 2021 and beyond. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if there are any topics that you want me to talk about on this podcast, please drop me a line at jeffmagnusonconsulting.com. Additionally, my book, Get the Right Job, is available on Amazon. Just search for my name on the Amazon search bar and you'll see it. It's a yellow colored book and it goes through all of these steps in much more detail. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you at the next episode.